Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour. My name is Jason Rockman. We meet here once a week to talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture about a lot of interesting stuff. And this week is no exception to that rule. We have got a 3-time Grammy Award winner with us. His name is Fantastic Negrito. Well, actually, his name is Xavier, but he goes by the artist name Fantastic Negrito. And this guy... not only is an incredible musician, but he is a 3-time winner of the Best Contemporary Blues Album Grammy. He won in 2016, 2019, and 2020. And his new album just came out called White Jesus, Black Problems. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a four-peat. I have a good feeling about him, and I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. But before we get too far ahead, let me pull in our co-host and the man who makes everything look really, really good and sound good on the podcast, Mr. Ryan Stick. How are you, Ryan?
I'm great, man. I'm enjoying some fancy new gear.
Yeah.
Tasting some nice stuff. Being part of Rockman Power Hour is pretty sweet.
So thanks for that segue. I want to thank our title sponsor, Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Usually I like to show off one of the nice new bottles of hot sauce, but I wanted to bring one from my fridge because this is the reality of dealing with Heartbeat Hot Sauce. You go through it really, really quick. So I've got the Scorpion and I've got the ever so popular Dill Pickle Serrano. These are what Heartbeat Hot Sauce bottles look like when they're in your fridge because you go through them quick. They're going to be a little sticky. They're going to be a quarter full, and you're going to really, really enjoy them. And right now, if you order from Heartbeat Hot Sauce and you use my promo code Rockman20, I'm going to put it right there. Rockman20, you'll get 20% off your entire order of hot sauce. So go over to heartbeathotsauce.com and spoil yourself and try out this incredible hot sauce from a small company out of Thunder Bay. And I know you're enjoying it quite as much as I am.
Man. I'm trying out this fancy flavor called Almost Empty. It's delicious. It's very I can't stop eating it.
So we want to thank Heartbeat. Check them out, heartbeathotsauce.com. Use the promo code Rockman20 and you'll get 20% off your order. And of course, thank you to our good friends in Philadelphia and new homeowners. Congrats, guys. Studio House Designs. They always keep us looking fresh. And Ryan, you're sporting the Adam Sandler Uncut Gems. That is a great shirt, great movie too. So, and I'm seeing you're getting a lot of mileage on social media with that one. People are loving it, eh?
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not used to attention, even though I'm always asking for it. So, careful what you wish for, kids.
So go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, what I love about Studio House Designs, and especially with this A24 bundle they just released, is that I trust their judgment when it comes to movies they want to make t-shirts of, because they make the t-shirts that not everybody does.
Yeah.
And I saw that listed in the A24 was something called the Green Knight, and I've been putting it off. And I'm like, good. But if they made a shirt about Green Room and they made a shirt about Uncut Gems, they're probably saying that this is a good movie. So, sure enough, checked out Green Knight specifically because they printed a shirt of it, and now I'm really glad I have one.
Isn't the movie good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the A24 bundle is great. Ryan's rocking the Uncut Gems, and I've got this movie. Not a lot of people in North America saw Saint Maud. What a great film. Amazing film. Just loved it. So thanks to Studio House Designs, always making us look fresh. Go check them out at studiohousedesigns.com. They got new drops all the time. All right, let's dive right into this one, Ryan. I know you really, really appreciated this week's guest. You had never heard of him before, right?
Nope, but I can say that for some of the Rockman Power Hour guests, I've had the benefit of, after editing the interview, like exploring their musical discography and just falling in love with what they've done. And his story is just amazing, especially like I love the fact he even mentions at one point, before everything started working out, he quit.
Yeah,
went back to the basics, became a street performer, and now he's how many Grammys now?
3 and possibly a 4th with this new album because the album's brilliant. So I love these kind of stories, and I love people that stick by their convictions. You can tell that this is an artist that doesn't care what you think. He's going to do what needs to come out of him. And it's out of necessity. You can feel that in the art. It's authentic, it's real, and the music is just so good. So without any further ado, check it out. Our conversation with Fantastic Negrito. All right, really happy to have with me a gentleman whose career I have been following and whose career I really love. And just through his music, I've already felt kind of a closeness to him, and I'm hoping that I can develop that closeness on this Zoom call today. I've got Xavier from the band Fantastic Negrito. First of all, thank you for taking the time to chat today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We're not far from age. We're close in age from what I saw. You're I think about 2 or 3 years apart, and I grew up loving a certain period of music. And I love talking to people about this that I think are going to get it, and I think you're going to get it. There's this magic time in music from the late 80s to the early 90s, right before grunge, where all these incredible things happened, where it was almost like all these musical styles smashed together and created these great musical journeys. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Fishbone, 24/7 Spies. There were just so many of these bands that Faith No More, that just morphed all these styles together. And when I listen to your music, it brings me back to that time where music didn't have rules. It was a little more dangerous.
Have rules. And even the biggest bands of that time back then, like the Police.
Yeah.
I mean, they really merged all these different sounds together. Yes. And I think even the early Prince records, he had a time, right, where he was really innovative. Exactly. Yeah, there was so many people who were it was just music. And the B-52s, I mean, it goes.
Yeah, no.
Pushes.
There's always going to be times like that where these bands come that are truly original. I mean, if you go back to Joy Division, and then it depends what genre you're going into. But when I first heard the band, I was like, wow, this reminds me of a time where styles just blended together. And it's just nice to hear somebody that's still carrying that flag for originality in music.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, totally.
So you got a new album coming out, White Jesus, Black Problems. You got a lot of pressure on this because, the last 3 won Grammys. How do you deal with that?
Well, I thought that was great that the last 3 won Grammys, because my pressure was to make whatever I wanted to, because it's over now. You won 3 Grammys. Who cares?
Exactly. So the pressure's off. You don't have any pressure anymore.
Zero.
Right.
I mean, can't you tell? White Jesus, Black Problems.
Right. Yeah.
People are like, man, you're going to ruin your career. And I've heard everything, You shouldn't say that. Oh my God. That makes me say it. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I had no intention of making this record.
Okay.
It started off around pandemic time. The first thing I did was hook up with Sting, speaking of the Police.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, let's do this song that I wrote. You want to do it together? And he's like, man, I love this. We did it. Then I thought, that's what's my next album is going to be me hooking up with a lot of people that I dug growing up and just making an album of just kind of duets.
Yeah, sure.
And that was going to be the record. But then, bam, pandemic hits.
Right.
And then for 1 year, I just was like, wow, I can't make this record because you can't get people like into the studio. Some people like Sting just came.
Yeah.
They don't want to record remotely, all that, so that record just went away. And so I'd done another collaboration on my previous album with an incredible artist named E40 from the Bay Area out here, one of the most innovative rappers of all time, I believe. And we did this song and I got a great call, and it was from a show called Black Lightning. And they're like, hey, we want to use your song. We're going to pay you all this money. And I was like, yes, no, you got to remember, hey, there were no gigs.
Yeah, no,
there was no income.
I know.
I mean, I just went and retreated back to my farm during that time. But so anyway, that happened. That was great. I went to Atlanta. There's no vaccine. Everyone's freaking out. But I was like, I'll go, man. Just, 2 goggles and 3 masks, and I'm on an airplane. And, I went down to Atlanta, and I'm sitting in the hotel room that I'm quarantined in, and I start digging through the internet and messages, and I find one from someone that says, hey, I'm related to you. I'm your cousin. I'm like, yeah, maybe. And I go through some of the ancestry links, and I found out she's related to me, and it takes me to this incredible story of, the first shock was that I found my 3rd generation grandparents. I'd seen their pictures before, and I knew it was rare for African Americans to have that photograph of your 3rd generation grandparents.
Sure, to be able to trace lineage.
Yeah, and I was quite perplexed that they were dressed very nice in the South, in Virginia during slavery.
Right.
So I said, well, let's find out why they have these nice clothing on during slavery. I expect them to be in rags
Yeah.
but I looked at their census and it says registered free Negroes. So that felt like, whoa, what? So I find fourth generation, fifth generation, sixth generation registered free Negroes. How did they get free? It takes me to a document of a woman named Elizabeth Gallimore, and she's presented in Amelia County Court in 1759 for unlawfully cohabitating with a Negro slave belonging to Henry Jones.
Wow.
So I feel like the room is kind of spinning there in Atlanta, and it's just, I don't really know how to react or what to think. It's just, I'm like, what? Let's read this again. Keep reading it. And so I Googled free Negroes in Virginia, and to my shock, there was about 50,000. And, you know, we don't really hear that narrative.
Yeah.
We hear like, okay, you're black, you're slaves. We're white, we owned you. Okay, what's next?
Right.
It wasn't that simple, obviously.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, this is interesting that this history is really multi-layered and there's a lot of stories. And here was this white indentured Scottish woman, you know, with the courage of a lion, you know, decides to hook up with my black enslaved grandfather. I don't know if she's like working in the house and he's in the field and she's like, oh my God, look at this sweating black Adonis, or was he a house Negro and they like were cleaning up and like, ooh, our skin touch. And I don't know. I had to make up the story, but what really interested me about the story was that here were these people from opposite sides of the spectrum in the mid 1700s, amongst the harshest, you know, racist laws that you'd ever could imagine.
Yeah.
And they did something we can't do in this modern era. Is they got something done.
Right.
And I thought,
yeah.
that is inspiring. I mean, you go on the internet and all you hear is this side screaming, this side screaming. And in America, I feel like we don't get anything done.
Yeah. There's a lot of arguing.
Yeah, we're dug in to our dogmatic kind of rhetoric. We're like, I believe this. And if I'm on the left here, and if you don't believe every single thing, then you're sexist, or you're anti-trans, or you're racist, or you're homophobic, you know?
Yeah.
And on this side, it's like, well, I'm so dug into all these beliefs. And if you don't believe me, then you hate America, or you hate this. It's so accusatory and non-productive. And I love that this is a love story of two different people from two different places, two different sides of the spectrum, and they found each other. I love it.
That is, and it's remarkable how you can go from, you know, potentially saying, all right, you know, I've won 3 Grammys. I'm just going to do a fun record with some friends and try to get some cool names on it. And you start doing some research and your whole trajectory of where you're going to go changes. That's nuts.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. And
it was crazy. It still is crazy to me. When I listen back to the record, I'm like, that's a crazy record, man.
Your videos are phenomenal. And I love the fact that, and, you know, now, you know, after watching Highest Bidder and Betty, I understand now the story a little bit better.
And it's a film now too. It's a whole film.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I just did South by Southwest with the film, and I'm now in SF Film Festival. Yeah, it's a 40-minute film.
Oh wow. Okay, so there's a lot of layers to this record.
Yeah, it's a whole visual album. You know, that's what it basically is. It just got so much inspiration out of the story.
So you're not worried about a Grammy. You have a story to tell.
I really sincerely am not. It's great to win that kind of stuff, but
of course,
the artist that I worship, the David Bowie's, and, you know, he didn't have any Grammys. These are the people that I love. And, you know, I want to just do like really interesting music and art. And that's what made me get up and go start playing on the streets at 45 years old. I mean, I was like, people are like, oh, you can't do that. You know, your music doesn't fit into genre and you're too old, man. But I just hit the streets. And I kept on playing and I didn't ask permission. And I just want to stay on that path. And if I get some awards, great.
Great. Yep.
If I get some fans, great. If I don't get awards fans, great. That I felt like I was really on that path. And I love that path because it's like creating with like the wisdom of a grandfather, but the freedom of a 17-year-old. That combination is awesome. I love it.
You know,
the best.
It really is. And as you know, I'm in my 50s and I've been a musician in the past and I've done that whole trip. You know, it's amazing how when you actually look at it as art again, and you look at it as something that needs to be created and not as a business, the love for it comes back.
God, I mean, I tell you, man, you know, I don't know if you know much of my story, but I quit for 5 years.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about that. 'Cause some of the people here I mean, I know your story pretty well, but I'd like some of the people that are going to be listening.
You know what? I just was sick of trying to be accepted.
Yeah.
And trying to fit into some record executive's repressed fantasy of the world and like how I could help him with his yacht payments and his cocaine and horror habits. That's what it felt like. It felt like you were dealing with people who just didn't even like music.
Yeah.
And that made me quit, get away from Los Angeles, come back home to Oakland. And then I found it again just by being a street musician.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed just playing for people getting off the train. And I didn't worry about like, what genre is this?
Yeah.
How are we going to reach the people? Is this a single?
Yeah.
Man, the hell with that. I mean, I just found freedom in my middle age and I don't care when I make a record. And that's so powerful, man. And I just live in this bubble and it's fun and it's so rewarding, man. And I'm so glad that this happened for me. When I was in my 20s, I was signed by Jimmy Iovine, you know.
Yep.
I think he just made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it was freedom of not being signed, of letting people decide. And it was powerful.
It's a nice thing, you know, like you say a name like Jimmy Iovine. I mean, the guy's, he's a legend in the business. And he's also a guy that can spot talent. So obviously people knew something was up, you know, and I'm sure, but it's nice when you hear the story of an artist who's been able to say, you know, I kind of just wanted to do my thing. And when it hits and people recognize it, and then you get the accolades from the peers and all that, it's nice when you do it your way. And not many artists have that story. A lot of artists have to, you know, they have to do certain things they don't want to do. They have to, or they give up their dream. And I think when it's rooted in truth and when it's rooted in art, it's where, you know, it's where it comes across and it's authentic. Darryl McDaniels is a good buddy of mine from Run DMC. And Darryl is one of these guys. He has that older man wisdom, but he has that childlike need to create. And he doesn't care how stuff does. He doesn't care about all that stuff. He wants to create and have fun, and he wants to be there for younger generations. It's nice to see people that really take that approach to art.
It's a beautiful place to be, and it's genuine. And yeah, I'm super, super fortunate. And I want to tell people out there, I always want to tell this, hey man, it's okay to put it down for a while.
Yeah.
You may need to put it down for a while because creating without inspiration is the worst.
It really is.
And trying to fit into someone else's, you know, fantasy of how it's the worst, man. And I think the human spirit, you know, is hungry. It needs to be fed, and we have to find our way, whatever it is. For everyone, it's different because we're all different.
You're going to get back to live performing. Are you excited to do that? I imagine that's a part that you really, really enjoy.
Yeah, I do like it. It's funny. Like I said, I did South by Southwest for the film, and then I did a Q&A after the film, and then I just did a few songs acoustically. I really loved that. But then I played a few with the bands and like playing the new material, and it's really interesting. You know, it's great. I love it. I've having such a great time, and I was just a couple of days ago. I did Japan, Italy, France, just talking about the film and playing the songs. And it's good to have this film and this album because it is a story of possibility, and I love to tell it over and over and over again through film and through music and song.
In terms of the film, and you know, this is your band. This project is a very visual project. You know, there's always a visual proponent that's attached to the music. Where do you find your inspiration for that? what are some of the filmmakers that you've watched in the past that, or films, or directors, anything that you've gotten inspiration for, where that you can kind of feel that, like when I listen to your music, I can hear imprints of certain stuff you must have liked.
Oh, totally.
But in terms of the visual aspect of it, the videos in the movie, who were your go-tos there?
Well, I want to say this. I don't know anything about making a film
Okay.
or a movie. This was completely, it's a pandemic. I turned around, looked at my drummer. If you notice, the guy, as you'll see, I'll have my assistant send you the film. I was like, looking at how big and strong he looked. And I was like, man, I'm thinking about doing a film about all this. You want to play my grandfather? And he's like, sure. People had nothing to do. I happened to look on his Instagram and I saw he was like dating this, who's now his fiancée, this white girl with this long, strawberry blonde, reddish hair. I thought Scottish.
Yeah.
So I go to her. I go, you want to play my grandma, Elizabeth Betty Gallimore? She looked at me real strange, like, sure. It's a pandemic. No. So it was really easy to get people because there was a pandemic happening. I found a kid on Instagram named Eric Neal, one camera. So we used a small camera and we shot the whole thing. So I don't know. I would say I like pretty different stuff like Fellini, like the Italian director, like Akira Kurosawa. I still love his black and white films. They're amazing. I love all the, stuff from the 70s. It's just because of my age. I feel like there was that golden era of films. And I loved how free that was. So that's the stuff I like. I'm sure I'm nowhere close to that. Although in Italy, the Italians thought, your film has the spirit of Fellini, and I almost cried.
Wow, that's
internally. I was like keeping a straight face, like, yeah, man.
That's a big compliment. That's a big compliment.
Yeah, but I just, I got to tell you that I didn't really try anything with this record. It really wasn't my story. It was my seventh generation grandparents. They did all the work.
Yeah,
they took all the punches, and I was just here to be a conduit to tell their story. It was a speeding train. I just got on the train. I'm still surprised at the album. When I listen to it, it's the only record that I made where when I start to hear it, I go, wow.
Yeah.
Like that is a trip, man. Like that Venomous Dogma. It's like this, it feels like this psychedelic rock trip. And it immediately, it turns into something else. But I was telling the story of my grandparents being free. And then boom, immediately they're in captivity. And I was just telling this story. And songs like True To, I thought of the absurdity of the idea of like race or racial supremacy, when really it was just about money.
Yeah.
And the highest bidder. Like, how could my grandfather, you would think they would kill him. Like, you were with a white woman. But since they produced kids, I think the owner thought, hey, wait a minute. I can get some work out of these kids. And it was all about money.
Yeah.
So somehow maybe he let them do their thing because it was before America was a country. This is the mid 1700s. So of course I had to fill in all that and that was the fun part. But I think with the music and with the film, just as free as you can be, and love great stuff and let that stuff influence you and steal from as many great people as you can. Kind of like that.
It's I love when people admit that, because a lot of people will, they want to talk about their influences. Like, come on, we all steal, and it's the greatest form of flattery from an artist if someone
absolutely says, that's, you hear everyone on these records.
I interviewed a guy named Sam Fender from the UK. It's an up and coming guy, and we were in Montreal, and of course Arcade Fire are from Montreal. And first thing he said to me, he goes, I just want you to know that I stole from your band from this city, and I hope they never come after me. And it was just so refreshing, the way he said it, with reverence. And
it's true.
Lastly, I just wanted to ask you really quickly, They Go Low. There's a lyric here, and I'm going to read it, so I don't want to screw it up. I've seen a little boy soldier with tattoos all over his face, a gangbanger street mascot. I'm too old, so I couldn't relate. Tell me a bit about that line.
Oh man, that's very interesting. Especially, it reminds me of, I'm being butchered online because I said that Eminem belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So people are coming after me. I don't know if you may not agree with that.
I do agree. Of course I agree with it. Are you kidding?
Okay, yeah. People are going crazy. I mean, how dare you?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just it means a lot to me. Of course, I kept saying this. Tell the story of Grandma and Grandpa.
Right.
But there's a parallel on the album there's a modern theme.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's modernity here, so we have to acknowledge it. And I think that line had a lot to do with maybe like modern new music and how the internet kind of took a lot of the imagination away from a lot of music. Like the tattoo is like on the face is like a cliche to me almost. Like, okay, I'm a grimy ass rapper. So it was something that I can't really relate to.
Yeah.
And I thought that there is I'm explaining this. This is interesting. I thought that there is a aspect of like corporatism that's like, yeah, more of that. Cookie cutter, more of that. There's great stuff out there, man. You take an album, artist like in rap and hip hop like Kendrick Lamar, who's fucking just brilliant.
I mean, did you see the new? Did you watch the new?
Oh
video?
my god!
I mean, I watched it. I know we're going off subject a bit, but I watched it last night. It dropped probably around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock my time. I watched it, and it was amazing to see because he's got about 11 million followers on Instagram or on YouTube, and there was 4,500 views, and I was like, holy shit, I'm seeing this early, and I watched it, and I'm like, did he just morph into OJ? Did he just morph into Kanye? And I was like, how does this guy and I'm just like, he's coming back to take the fucking crown again. Like the guy's gone and it's amazing.
I think what it is about him and I being an old guy and I can't relate to artists. And I just say it, I'm not going to pretend.
No, I think that's why that line jumped out at me is because I feel the same way. I mean, my heroes in hip hop were, and it's funny if I was turning my camera around, I've got all these, I have a bunch of toys in here. My heroes are, Public Enemy. KRS-One,
come on.
Those are the guys but so, and it's funny. I don't get all of that, but a guy like Kendrick comes and he could very easily get, because of some of the beats that he's used and some of the production, could easily fall into one of those categories where people will just dismiss him. And I've had friends of mine that are older go, oh no, he's just one of those. I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea. You have to listen.
We're witnessing greatness.
Yes.
I mean, to me, Kendrick Lamar is going to have to be one of the greatest ever at the end of this. Just what he's accomplishing.
Yeah.
So I think like I brought him up because I can relate to, I sound like an old fuck here, but I mean, I know being the grandfather dude too.
Yeah.
I recognize like, hey, wait a minute. I remember this. You guys, this was big hair bands. You guys ruined rock with big hair bands one after another. You're doing the same thing in rap.
Yeah.
So I think something in me that's like anti-corporatism, like excessive, stupid capitalism, because that ruins art forms, and that ruined my grandfather's life, excessive, stupid capitalism, and it ruined my white Scottish grandmother's life. I mean, that's what's powerful about this story is that, here was a white woman, and we talk about white privilege, and I agree, there's white privilege, but what did my grandmother think of that?
Yeah.
She didn't think much of it, guys. You know what I mean? She didn't think much of the idea of white supremacy at all. She was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm related to those people.
Yeah. Well,
I'm related to those people, man. Those are my people. And guess what? They were black and they were white.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I love that.
And it's like, you were saying with music, they, when you're starting out, people want to categorize, they want to compartmentalize, they want to put you in a box because it's safer. But
it makes money. That's why.
That's it. But when you can't, be put in a box, there's nothing more frustrating for somebody. But at the end of the day, everything's all about having a side now. Everything's all about, I've got to understand completely what it is. And the whole art thing is gone. The whole, interpretation. And I love the fact, the first thing I thought of when I watched that Kendrick video was like, oh, he's going to get a lot of flack for fucking morphing into OJ. That's the first thing I thought. But then I said, I trust him as an artist, and I'm going to go on this journey with him because he has something to say about that. And there is something to be said, and again, that's why I was excited to talk to you today, because you're one of those artists that has something to say, and it's refreshing because.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it because it's not easy.
No, I know it's not.
My journey, people think it's not easy, man. I get shit all the time, which I'm okay with now. I just like what I just don't respond to. But people, I get it from everybody, especially with this last one. I get it from everybody. I mean, but that's good. I'm not doing it for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just talking to my kid something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I just want to do the work that's genuine, that's real, that's authentic, that I can live with, and I can be very proud of as an old man. I'm already old. As I want to be like, yeah, I made those goddamn albums and people didn't want me to. I remember the first day I was like, I'm gonna make The Last Days of Oakland. I was at this NPR like hipster gathering, and they were like, oh my God, like, that's terrible. How dare you say The Last Day? And I was like, what? I was like, maybe I'm onto something.
Yeah.
It went way back then. Even Fantastic Negrito, people were like, why would you say that? Like, it's bad marketing. And I was like, well, Fantastic Negrito is not about me. I just think it's an awesome name, number one. I think that every time it really shines the light on people that had no voice. I think, like, anytime people ask me about it, I go, you know what? I always imagined that my enslaved ancestors, there had to be some Kendricks or Michael Jacksons in the field picking cotton, but they just didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
They must have been so brilliant. Some Aretha Franklin out there, singing, Lord, yes, E-C-T, but nobody got to hear them. So I like to acknowledge them. That's all it was about. There's something to say behind the names. And I really like this interview a lot because I actually learned something from it. So I thank you.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I really do. I can't wait for people to hear the record. I got a chance to hear it and I love it. And continued success, man. I hope we get to meet in person one day. And I really can't wait to see you live one day. That would be really
absolutely. Well, I think you're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I saw you're playing in Burlington, Ontario.
I think I'm from in Toronto. Yeah. So
yeah, but we got to get you up to Montreal because Montreal is where it's
I did there. I played and you know what I played Mont Tremblant Festival. How do you say it? Mont Tremblant.
Yeah.
So anyway, here's the thing. Through this whole year, Montreal. Let me shout out. Through this whole journey, I couldn't put everything into this interview because I found out so much stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the things I found out was that my last name is completely made up, completely fabricated by my dad. And I found my real last name and my real relatives are in Montreal.
Really?
And one guy he's about in his 70s now, but he was a Montreal Canadian performer, one of the first early Black ones. His name is Pierre Perpal.
Okay.
Pierre Perpal. And so I had no idea. So now I'm talking to my Montreal Canadian. I got a lot of relatives up there because that's where my dad's brother went, but he kept his real name. So I want to meet him and like film it. It'll be the first time I've ever met anyone on my dad's side. So shout out to Montreal and Pierre Perpal.
That's super cool. Hey, thank you again for taking the time. Continued success.
Right, man.
Look forward to talking to you again, man.
Take care. Peace.
You too, man.
That dude takes a concept record to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Because, wow, considering his story and finding out about this story, I love the way that he starts off with, so I was jamming with Sting.
Yeah, I know.
And I keep thinking about, remember that time you quit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Amazing. Yeah, it just shows you that if you're meant to do something, you're going to do it. And the work will find you. The calling will find you as long as you're open to it. And it's that, it's that healthy balance of knowing when it's a good time to step away, getting some perspective, and also knowing when not to quit. And he's just a great artist, and I'm excited to have him on the show. I'm glad we got to shine a bit of a light to maybe an audience that might not have heard of him before, because once you do get into him, and everybody that I've spoken to, Ryan, about him and about this project since has all come back to me and said, man, I went back and listened to this record. I went back and listened to that record, and he's really, really good. So yeah, it was a real pleasure to have him on today. We've got
one more Grammy, he's going to win a sub.
It's like he's got like the Subway card, like the Grammy card,
the Grammy punch card.
Yeah. Tick. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up this summer. You and I are going to be very, very busy. We've got a lot of great guests lined up. I've been putting finishing touches on a couple of, it's like fishing, right? When you have a podcast, Ryan, you throw your line in the water and you just let it sit there. And right now we've got lines everywhere. And you'll get an email like, oh, we got a bite here, got a bite here. And that's what's exciting about it. But some of the lines that we've got in, let's just say we're doing some big game fishing. Okay. We're out there, we're not, we don't have a little wooden rod with, a guitar string that's hanging off the pier. We're out there, I'm going to get me a marlin. You got to hold on to me as I'm reeling some of these in. So I'm excited about what we got coming in the next couple of months. For you, we've got, like, you and I are involved with Comic-Cons. We got Comic-Cons coming. So many great guests coming. We got I know you know that. I can tell by the bags under your eyes. It's unbelievable. You don't have bags under your eyes. I'm just saying that. But it's unbelievable.
No. There's bags, all right, and they're full.
And these aren't carry-ons. These are under the plane bags. Like, we're putting all the presents from like every place we went to, and they're under the plane because we couldn't put them on. No, I get it, man. It's a whirlwind, and it's funny because there's so much stuff going on right now. It seems like the world's waking up, and people are trying to. It's just like they're trying to stuff as much as they can in. It's like that whole age-old expression: we're trying to shove 10 pounds of shit in a 6-pound bag. It's just a horrible analogy, but it's true. We're all trying to play catch up. We're all trying to get things going, and it's been challenging. But I one thing about the podcast, man. We are going full force ahead. We got so much stuff lined up, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited.
It's a nice life. It's a nice way to live because, well, first of all, we get to talk every week.
Yeah.
And not just about like, can you believe this garbage? Like it's nice.
Yeah.
Because we have to talk about something positive all the time. It's a good way to train your brain.
It is.
And frankly, I don't know, more and more people are watching and subscribing. Folks listening, we really appreciate every single subscribe. I don't know if an angel gets its wings, but I get wings in a Red Bull sense. It's great. So please keep doing that.
Yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the alert button wherever you're watching or listening to us, and pass on the information. If you're liking it, if you're digging it, hey, best thing is word of mouth, and we really, really appreciate all the support. Also, a big thanks to you, my co-host Ryan Stick. Thanks to our producer Julia Kedzierski. Thank you to Heartbeat Hot Sauce, the best hot sauce in the world. And right now, if you use my promo code Rockman20, which we will put right down here, there, we will give you that. That's a gift for you and from Heartbeat. That'll give you 20% off your order of hot sauce every time that you go. And it's unlimited. You can give it to your friends, whatever. Rockman20, 20% off for you at Heartbeat Hot Sauce. So enjoy that. Thanks to Studio House Designs for always keeping us looking fresh. And thanks to our producer, Julia Kedzierski. I think I said that, right? Did I? I'll say it again.
You should just keep thanking her. She does a lot.
She does. She puts up with my bullshit too. And until next week, Ryan is going to go and wash that shirt.
Conditioner's better. I need the hair silky and smooth.
Ryan is going to go wash that shirt finally.
Because I've been living in it.
and we will see you. Oh yeah. By the way, next week on the show, we've got someone really, really special that I think people are going to be excited about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be.
Want to tell them now?
No, I want them to tune in next week. But let's just say you are going to witness the beginning of a very, very, very promising career next week on the Rockman Power Hour.
Awesome. I'm learning how to dance.
See you next week.